First of all, I want to thank Mr. Vakar sir and you all the presenting, attending over here. So, as I have been asked to deliver my lecture on right to equality, right to equality, a new concept. So, okay, so right to equality, right to equality has been protected by the Constitution by Article 14 to Article 18. There are total 5 articles which ensures to the citizen and to the people a very fundamental right, right to equality. Article 14, equality before law and equal protection of laws. While Article 15 is a extension of Article 15. The principle which has been laid down under Article 14, the extension is recognized under Article 15 and Article 16. Article 17 and Article 18 abolition the untouchability and the titles prevailed in Indian society before Constitution came into force. So first of all, we can try to understand the basics of Article 14. Article 14 provides the two phrases that equality before law and equal protection of laws. The very first words which have been used under Article 14, the state shall not deny to any person equality before law or the equal protection of the laws within the territory of India. So, first of all, it should be clear it is a negative fundamental right. It is a negative fundamental right. It's not in positive nature. It imposes an obligation on state to not deny any person equality before law and the equal protection of laws. So the state means the definition which has been given under Article 12. Since all the fundamental rights, most of the fundamental rights have been protected against the state, and state has been defined by the Constitution under Article 12. The second thing, the state shall not deny to any person. Under Article 14, the word has been used as person. Person. It means the protection given under Article 14 is available to citizen and non-citizen also. An alien can claim the protection given by Article 14. So, a juristic person, an artificial person, is entitled to claim the protection given by Article 14. The next phrase and two important phrases which has been used under Article 14 is equality before the law and equal protection of law. The first phrase, equality before the law, is British origin. Dicey, in his book Constitution of England, has described in detail the rule of law or equality before the law. It has been accepted in India also in 1975. It was the case. It was the case. Shrimati Indira Gandhi versus Raj Narayanan. Indira Gandhi versus Raj Narayanan. Supreme Court has held that Article 14 establishes in India rule of law, the very and the basic feature of a democratic system. So, equality before law means all are equal before the law. All are equal before the law. Whether his or her the rank may be. A PM and a constable is equal before the law. And the second phrase, which has been adopted from the American Constitution, equal protection of laws. The word equal protection laws has been adopted by Section 1 of 14 Constitution Amendment in USA. The equal protection of laws. And both the phrases equality before the law and equal protection of laws has been mentioned under Article 7 of UN Declaration on Human Rights 1948. So, equality before the law and equal protection of the laws. There may be two approach. There may be two approach of right to equality. Right? Just wait. I am not able to write on. Okay, Nani, off the whiteboard.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. We can understand by a simple example. Right to what is right to equality? There may be two systems. Suppose there is a girl, there is a woman, there is a handicapped person, and there is a male. Okay, girl below the age of 7 years, woman, she is adult, handicapped, he is physical handicapped, and a normal man. There may be a formula that all will be governed by a law equally. Equally. There is no privilege given to the girl. There is no privilege given to the women. There is no privilege given to the handicapped man. And there is a no privilege of a normal man. All will be governed by the law equally. Equal. There may be a concept. There may be another concept. Girls will be treated a special law. Women will be treated another special law, and handicap will also be treated with a special law, and man will also be treated with a law. So here there are two type of concept of equality. First is all will be treated equally before the law. And the second concept is equal will be treated. Equal will be treated by equal laws. Girls, all girls below the age 17 years will be treated by L1. Women's will be treated L2, and handicapped person will be treated by L3, and men will be simple law. So Article 14, the both phrases equality before law and equal protection of laws establishes in India the second concept of equality. The second concept of equality means like should be treated alike. Like should be treated alike. Since if all will be treated by a uniform law, it will be inequality who cannot stand with a normal person. How can you imagine an physical handicapped person can run with a male, journal male? And how can you imagine that a female can win in a run with a male? Therefore, there is a different standard of height, height criteria to admit in armed forces for girls and for boys. So it means Article 14 permits states reasonable classification. Reasonable classification. It prohibits class legislation, but it permits reasonable classification. We are not going to discuss rule of law. We are not going to discuss rule of law. You know very well about the rule of law. Rule of law means all are equal before the law. All will be treated by a law of land, and no one can be privileged. However, there are many exceptions which has been accepted in Indian Constitution itself. Article 361 is the examples. There are many persons which have been privileged.
Sir, please unmute yourself.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. I'm not able to change my slide. Yes. So we are not going to discuss rule of law. The next phrase is equal protection of laws. Equal protection. It means that like should be treated alike, as we have discussed. That none should be favored and none should be discriminated. It doesn't mean that all laws must be general in character and all the same law must be applied to all persons. In a initial days of independence, there are few cases in which it has been clear that if all will be treated equally, it will be amount to inequality. As in Hyderabad High, in the case of Abdul Rahman versus State in 1951, identical treatment in unequal circumstances would amount to inequality. So, a reasonable classification is not only permitted, but it is necessary if society is to progress. So, it means Article 14 permit state to make reasonable classification. So, we should know what do you mean by reasonable classification. What do you mean by reasonable classification? In 1958, there is a historical case. It was Ram Krishna Dalmia versus Justice Tendulkar. In 1958, Supreme Court had held the classification to be reasonable must fulfill the following conditions. There are only two conditions on which it may be decided that classification is reasonable or not. If there are two conditions are fulfilled, the classification may be declared as a reasonable classification. So, what are the two essential requirements for reasonable classification? The first is there must be a intelligible differentia, and next there must be a nexus between intelligible differentia and purpose sought to be achieved by the act of legislature. Okay, so first of all, we should know about the what do you mean by intelligible differentia. Intelligible differentia, in general words, it may be a ground on which classification may be made. But why the word ground has not been used, but the specific words has been used as intelligible differentia. Intelligible differentia means a difference by which we can separate the group of people from the people which have been left by the intelligible differentia. The second is, if there is an intelligible differentia, there must be an nexus. Since no action of the state can be done without a purpose. Always there is a purpose to be achieved by the action of the state. For example, we can take a very general example. Suppose I am the principal of Siddhartha Law College, and it's a responsibility. It's a responsibility has been imposed to me that all students must attend regular classes. Okay, so I have issued a notice to all the students that all students must attend the classes, and a fine of ₹100 may be imposed. Students who will not attend the class regularly. In this notice, what is the intelligible differentia? The intelligible differentia is the intelligible differentia. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Am I
You are
audible?
audible. Sir, you are audible.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Hello?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
हेलो अरे बेटे बाद में बात करना हेलो am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, so in this example, what is the intelligible differentia? The intelligible differentia is the students who are attending classes regularly and students who are not attending the classes. This is a intelligible differentia. And what is the purpose? The purpose is students should attend classes regularly. So the purpose of the notice is students should attend the classes regularly. There is a classification between the students who are not attending the classes regularly and students who are the attending classes regularly, and the fine is ₹100. So it is a reasonable classification. Everyone can say that it is reasonable. It is reasonable. On the other hand, I am issuing another notice, and according to notice, a student who have a fair color skin or long hair will be awarded 10 marks extra in internal examination. In this notice, what is the intelligible differentia? The intelligible differentia is students who have fair skin and long hair and the students who don't have fair skin and long hair. There is an intelligible differentia. And what is the purpose of the notice? Students should be in long hair and fair skin. It cannot be justified. It is not the reasonable classification. Therefore, every statute in which classification is made by the state can be challenged on that the classification is not a reasonable classification. Is not a reasonable classification. It was the rule. It was the concept of test of reasonable classification, and that reasonable classification and intelligible differentia may be on the ground of sex, may be on the ground of age, may be on the ground of geographical conditions. There may be a intelligible differentia on the ground of marks of percentage. There may be a intelligible differentia on the ground of urban and rural areas, but there must be a nexus. There must be a nexus between the intelligible differentia and purpose how to be achieved by the action of the state. The cut of marks may be a ground of intelligible differentia. The date of joining in a public services may be intelligible differentia, but it will be decided case to case. Is there any nexus between intelligible differentia and the purpose? However, there is no hard and fast rule to determine and to fix the criteria. There is no pocket formula. There is no scientific formula. There is no calculated formula for reasonable classification. It depends upon the case and circumstances. There must be a reason, and reason must be informed to the people, and reason must be informed by the state, since reasonability is a criteria to make a classification. But the test of reasonable classification could not achieve the philosophical purpose or philosophical requirement of right to equality. Therefore, in a very famous, interesting, and leading case, a new concept has been introduced by the Supreme Court. It was the case of E.P. Royappa versus State of Tamil Nadu. And the new concept is it strikes on arbitrariness of in state action. It has been held that where is arbitrariness, there is inequality. We have to understand the concept of equality before law or rule of law. We have to clear the concept. The concept is we are living in a democratic system. We have rule of law. Rule of law means all are equal before the law. And if law will be unreasonable, arbitrary, why we can say there is a rule of law? It means rule of law ka law must be reasonable, just and fair. Just, fair and reasonable. And in case of E.P. Royappa versus State of Tamil Nadu, the theory of natural justice has been adopted by propounding the concept protection against arbitrariness. State has not been empowered to make law, to make arbitrary law. Since where is arbitrariness, there is inequality. There is inequality. Now, what do you mean by arbitrariness? अब ये arbitrariness क्या होता है? Arbitrariness, there is no formula in determining what the act of state is arbitrary and what the act of state are not arbitrary. There is no hard and fast rule. There is no hard and fast formula. You can see the latest examples. For example, in case of Mithu, where section 303 IPC has been held unconstitutional since it was arbitrary. It was arbitrary. The latest example, section 497 IPC, 497 IPC, it was constitutionally valid before 2 or 3 years, but last year it has been declared unconstitutional. It was the violation of Article 14. It was the violation of Article 14 since it was found arbitrary. Section 377 IPC, it has been decriminalized. The operative part of section 377 was declared as arbitrary. Hence, it was the violation of Article 14. It was unequality. And there are many provisions. You can take example section 9 of Hindu Marriage Act 1955. The provision for restitution of conjugal rights. Restitution of conjugal rights under section 9. It has been declared as reasonable and not a violation of Article 14. So, the concept of arbitrariness depends upon the case and facts. You can take the example of Ajay Hashia versus Khalid Mujib, in which case it has been held that 33% of total marks assigned to the interview was held arbitrary, unreasonable in taking admission in engineering college. While in other part, in universities and colleges, after screening, the appointment is based only on performance before the interview board on oral interview. So the requirement, what is the requirement? The requirement is state in action, in every action, has to inform the reason behind the classification, and it must be a reasonable reason, and it must fulfill the criteria of non-arbitrariness. Then it may be held as constitutional valid and not violating the Article 14. You can take the example of Nargesh Mirza versus Airport Authority case, in which case the regulation of 46 was in question. 46. When you are permitting to continue services, if you got pregnant after 4 years, and basically it was the case of air hostess retirement policy. An air hostess can be compulsory retired if she got married within 4 years of her service. Number 2, if she got pregnant first time and or completing the age of 35 years. अब suppose now an air hostess get married and become pregnant after 4 years. 4 years. It is arbitrary. It is a natural process. It is a demand of marriage to get pregnant. To get pregnant. 4 साल में जब आप शादी करने की परमिशन दे, 4 साल के बाद आप शादी करने की परमिशन दे रहे हैं, तो प्रेग्नेंट होने पर why you are imposing the restriction? So it was found arbitrary. It was found arbitrary and was in violation of Article 14. So the concept has totally been changed. Totally has been changed from reasonable classification to the protection against arbitrariness of state action. You can challenge each and every enactment of legislative body on the ground of Article 14. If you prove that it is arbitrary, it will be declared as null and void ultra to the Constitution. And vice versa, the state has to prove that there is a specific reason, there is a specific ground, and a single person, a classification may be made for a single person. You can take the example, Ranjit Lal Chaudhary case, in which the only company was treated as a separate group of people, and there is no bar to enact a law on a state for a specific or a single person. State can do. Then there is no restriction. But the concept of right to equality is there must be reasonability. There must not be arbitrary. Since there is arbitrariness, there is inequality. The next article of right to equality, Article 15 and Article 16 are important in nature. Article 15 and 16 basically and generally are known as provided the provisions for reservation. Can I ask one question? Where the root of reservation? The answer will be the root of reservation is in Article 14. Yes. Article 14 does not prohibit to make reservation, but it allows. Since we have already discussed, there is a permissibility. There is a positive approach towards reasonable classification. Article 15 and Article 16 can enable the state to make reservation provisions in favor of citizens. The difference between the Article 14, 15 and 16 is Article 14 general in nature and provides a basic concept of right to equality and permits reasonable classification, strikes against the arbitrariness of the state action. And The second difference, Article 14 permits reasonable classification. Article 15 and 16 provides the example of intelligible differentia. Yes. Article 15 clause 1. You can read the bare provision of Article 15 clause 1. No citizen can be discriminated only on the ground. बस यहां फोकस कीजिए. Only on the ground. The word only has a specific meaning in Article 15 clause 1 and Article 16 clause 2. Article 15 clause 1 and Article 16 clause 2. The meaning is, a state can make classification only, the state can make classification on the grounds which have been prohibited under Article 15 clause 1. नहीं समझे? Under Article 15 clause 1, the words have been used as no citizen can be discriminated only on the ground religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, or any of them. These ground slowly cannot be intelligible differentia. But along with another factor, along with another ground, one of them can be intelligible differentia. Suppose under Article 15 clause 1, the words have been used as age, race, caste, sex, place of birth, or any of them. Okay, caste. The word caste has been mentioned under Article 15 clause 1, but you know that the OBC list is based upon the caste only. Why? Since in case of Indira Sahni versus Union of India, in 1992, the ruling given in Balaji versus State of Mysore was overruled. In case of Balaji versus State of Mysore, it was held that caste cannot be the sole criteria in determining the backwardness of the society. But in Indira Sahni case, it was held that caste can be sole criteria in determining with another factor the backwardness of the society. Since it has been held in the Indira Sahni case that a caste represents a group of people. So under Article 15 clause 3, the grounds on which generally and prima facie classification cannot be made, but these may also be intelligible differentia along with another grounds or factor. For example, suppose a specific caste residing in the hill or remote area of Uttarakhand and socially backward. The another people belong to the same caste are residing in the other part in Uttarakhand, like in plain area, and are not socially backward. Classification or reservation may be made to the particular caste person, citizen living in remote area of the Uttarakhand. So in that case, what is intelligible differentia? The intelligible differentia have been identified on two grounds. Number one, pehli, the first essential requirement, person belonging to a specific caste, and the second, who those are living in interior or remote area, hilly area in Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand. It may be a reasonable or intelligible differentia. Intelligible differentia. The enabling provisions have been made under Article 15 as inserted clause 4 after the University of Madras case. University of Madras case. It was the case of Champakam Dorai Rajan. Champakam Dorai Rajan versus University of Madras. Since in this case, the caste-based reservation was denied by the Supreme Court, and to reduce the impact or effect of Champakam Dorai Rajan case, the first Constitution Amendment Act had introduced a new clause under Article 15, Clause 4. Clause 4. To enable the state making a special provision to the socially and educationally backward citizen of the state. Under Article 15, Clause 4. Clause 4. 1, 2, yes, Clause 4. Clause 4. The words have been used as socially and educationally backward. Economically backward. There are no words as economically backward. The words have been used as socially and educationally backward. So here, it is important to know who are the socially and educationally backward, and what is the method to investigate who are socially and educationally backward people. Since as or while the concept of creamy layer is based upon the economical criteria, and there is no economical backward word used under Article 15 Clause 4 and under Article 16 Clause 4. Under Article 16 Clause 4, the word is used as backward class of the citizen. Backward class of the citizen. While under Article 15 Clause 4, socially and educationally backward. So the scope of Article 15 Clause 3 is narrow in comparison to Article 16 Clause 4. Under 16 Clause 4, the word have been used as backward class of citizen, and backward class of citizen has not been specified as socially and educationally or economically backward. So state has more power under Article 16 Clause 4 in comparison to Article 15 Clause 3. President has been empowered to constitute, to investigate the socially and educationally backward people, a commission. President and that commission investigates who are socially and educationally backward. And on the recommendation, the state can identify who are socially and educationally backward people and who are entitled the reservation. Reservation. टाइम पूरा हो गया है, मुझे भी जाना है यूनिवर्सिटी कहीं काम से. If you want to any question, you may please. Any question, please?
Thank you so much, sir, for giving us this enlightening lecture, and we are highly
Welcome,
obliged.
ma'am.
Now, I'll be starting with the question round session. If anybody of you have any questions, just raise your hand. I will unmute you. Okay? Okay. Okay, Jyotsna, I'm unmuting you. You can ask your question.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Very good afternoon.
So am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, Jyotsna.
Yes, sir, as you told in Article 14, there is a two concept, equality before law and equal protection of laws. Then why the plural of law in the second phrase?
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Yeah. Jyotsna, it's a very interesting question. Since equality before law and equal protection of laws, the word laws have been specifically used in plural form. Since equality before laws establishes a general principle that the people having special circumstances should be treated by a specific law. Should be treated by a specific law. It means the different categories or different type of people can be treated by different laws. Can be treated by different laws. And in a first phrase, equality before law, equality before law, it indicates that every person, चाहे वो प्राइम मिनिस्टर और who are the humblest, the constable person, will be treated equally, and no one can be entitled for a special privilege. Special privilege. So, equality before law indicate the law of land. Law of land, it's a single law, and equal protection of laws. There may be different laws to govern the different type of people. Different type of people. Is it okay?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, one more question. Is equality an inherent, inalienable, and natural right?
Yeah, definitely. The protection given to the arbitrariness is a principle of natural justice. Since arbitrary is the opposite word of reasonability, and reasonability means just, fair, and reasonable. The law must be just, fair, and reasonable. And these three words constitute the general principle of justice. Sorry, natural theory of natural justice. Natural justice. So, right to equality or protection against arbitrariness or test of reasonable classification is a part of natural justice.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, welcome, Jyotsna.
Okay, next, Shaban, I'm unmuting you. You can ask your question.
Yes, Shaban Ali.
Hello. Good afternoon, ma'am and sir.
Yes, good afternoon.
Hello.
Yes, please.
सर इक्वालिटी और जो इक्वालिटी है इनमें डिफरेंस क्या है?
Equality and equity.
यस सर.
Equity basically is a principle of equity law. है ना? Equity it denotes the general principle of law, which in the words of natural justice, है ना? Equity.
Yes, sir.
Equity means there should be a reasonability. There should be a reasonability. Okay. While right to equality is a species of equity. Right to equality is a species of equity. Equity
Okay.
in comparison to the equality is a larger concept, while right to equality is a specific concept of equity. भाई इक्विटी के साथ और भी बहुत सारी चीजें हैं, है ना? और इक्वलिटी जो कह रहा है, वो जो इक्विटी है, इक्विटी की एक जाति है कि एक ये दूसरा तीसरा चौथा ये होना चाहिए, ये सब इक्विटी के पार्ट हैं, और राइट टू इक्वलिटी उसका एक पार्ट है इक्विटी का.
ओके सर.
यस, नेक्स्ट.
Muskan,
थैंक यू सर.
यस मुस्कान.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon,
afternoon.
sir. So thank you, sir, for the wonderful class. So
Welcome.
my question is that class legislation, what I have understood so far, is that law making power for a class, for a particular class. Is it beyond that, or is it just restricted towards that only?
Yeah, Muskan, class
Uh,
legislation or to legislate law for a specific class, it has been prohibited by Article 14. Class legislation means if legislative body legislate a law for a special class, suppose there is a specific law is made for the special caste categories people, है ना? Brahman will be treated by this law, Rajput will be treated by this law, Muslim treated by this law. It will be known as class legislation, which has been prohibited by the Article 14. But a caste may be a intelligible differentia, and if there is a specific reason, there is a justification, then class legislation may be treated as reasonable classification. So the difference is it okay?
Yes, sir. So basically, there should be a wise reason behind class legislation. If it is so,
Yeah.
then Constitution is validating it. But if it is arbitrary, then they are just forbidding it.
You can
Am I
take
getting it right?
the example of Article 361. 361. President cannot be sued in any court during his tenure as a president. It's an example of class legislation. Okay, but it has been justified on the ground the specific post he holds.
So please repeat that
है ना?
example, President. The example you gave, you were not audible.
President, no president can be sued in any court during his tenure as a president of India. Is it specific or it's a privilege given to the president? And the justification behind it, the privilege has been given to the specific post he holds. जो उसको पोस्ट दी गई है उसके साथ जो ड्यूटीज परफॉर्म करनी है उनकी वजह से उसको ये स्पेशल प्रिविलेज दी
Right.
है ना. सपोज no civil case can be instituted in any court against the government department before 2 months notice. 2 months notice. It's a provision in CKC.
Yes, sir.
है ना?
Section 80, I think.
So,
Yes, sir.
so it's a example of class legislation, but it has been justified that there should be a specific time to reach the a compromise or to give the timing for the government department. So these are the justification. These are the reason for special privilege. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. You explained it
welcome.
really well.
Next.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, welcome. Next. Yes, anybody else?
Hello. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes. Anybody else?
Hello. Good afternoon, sir.
Very good afternoon.
Sir, my question is, what is the scope of reservation in promotion?
Hello. Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
Very good afternoon, beta.
Sir, my question is, what is scope of reservation in promotion?
Scope of reservation in promotion.
Yes, sir.
There is a leading case M. Nagarjun versus Union of India, which has been decided by the Constitutional Bench in 2006. And there was a provision that to make reservation in promotion, firstly, there are two conditions. Number one, the state government has been empowered to make provision for promotion in reservation. Okay. And number two, the state government has to prove that there is no sufficient representation in the post of SC and ST categories people. So first of all, it should be clear that there may be a provision only for SC, ST categories people. Under Article 16, Clause 4, Subclause A, the state has been empowered to make provisions in promotion for SC, ST categories people. Okay, so the provision for promotion in reservation can only be challenged on the ground that it has not been proved by the state that there is no adequate provisions, there is not adequate representation in the services of the people of SC and ST categories citizens. Understand? अभी 2019 में सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने एम नागार्जुन के इस डिसीजन को अप्रूव किया है. Is it okay? Any question?
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Any question? Okay, thank you so much. Thank you to give me the opportunity to deliver my opinion on Article 14, right to equality. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.